if they get there, they'll be lucky to go to 5. And you know what happens as well, right? Not as bad as football where guys earn their payday, and same thing as basketball when you make a deep run or you win or get to the finals. Right. But we know that the team's not going to be structured the same way next year, and they may possibly lose guys on the second and third line that help them get over there.
Depth gets taken away, And then other teams honestly game plan against you. You know, there's certain situations where like, look, I don't know how we're going to beat the rest of the league, but how do we beat them?
Welcome, everybody, to episode 166 of Cinco Squad. My name is Mike DeSanto. With me, as always, is the esteemed Grandpa Jay. And with us this week is one half of the greatest Alabama duo to grace God's green earth and the secret president of the I Heart Auburn Society. We have Herb of Herb and Raj. Herb, how you doing?
Well, it was a nice show. Appreciate everybody being here. I'm going to head on out. You guys have a good night.
No, he is.
The president has things to do.
Yes. The president does have things to do. He has to go shout War Eagle around the entire.
You're not even allowed to say that in this house.
I know you're not. Here, I'll give you one.
Your kids, do people just mess with you? They just do it to mess with you?
Actually, no. Yeah, the biggest thing people do with us is anytime we lose, I get a lot of texts. Are you okay? Is everything all right? That's the biggest thing that I get. But other than that, we actually have several Auburn fans, friends. Auburn pastor did my wedding. So,
nice.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and one of my best friends. So we came over for one game. Auburn won that game. We'll never do that again.
Of course not.
We've got several friends that are.
Did he get a cheeky little shot in there during the wedding? Did he take the time to try and get it?
He didn't, but he did take extra long. So I kind of wonder. He probably is also mad because Florida and Auburn were playing at that time. Right. I picked my wedding during Alabama's bye week, so I was safe. But Florida, Florida and Auburn were playing, so he probably wasn't happy. But no shots. We got off without a hitch, so we're good.
So speaking of Alabama Auburn games, I don't think I've ever asked you this, and I'm actually curious. Where were you for the kick six?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, okay. Jamie, where were you for the kick six?
A myth in sports. Apparently, AI had made that video way in advance of what we know AI could do. Now we're getting some sort of inkling that it never really happened, according to our guest host here today. So I guess AI was around longer than we thought because it never really happened.
It was weird. That was the one year that the Iron Bowl didn't get played, and so they just had AI create a simulation.
Don't remember a single thing. No, I mean, I was wherever I was at the time. I was just at home. There was nothing special for me, I don't think. But I can't honestly remember where I was sitting or what I was doing. So why can't you, we've had 5 wins in a row and you went back 10 years to go ask about that one. We've even had a more iconic win by this point with the Gravedigger play. Ask me those.
Okay. Where were you for the Gravedigger play?
I was at home watching the game.
What was your reaction to the Gravedigger play?
Jumping up and down, can't believe it, screaming, jumping up and down. My wife, who's playing on her phone, not even watching the game, goes, "What?" So it's I remember we were in our rental house on the couch, sitting right there in that spot. Yeah, I mean, you've given up at that point. You're like, all right, well, this sucks. When losing to your rival this way, that's just not something you expect. So yeah,
no. Going into what we've seen the last few weeks, talk about championships. Alabama, a very established championship pedigree, especially under the great Nick Saban, the best college football coach ever. We've crowned a new champion, gentlemen. One of the playoffs that we've been discussing for the last few weeks is over. The Stanley Cup Finals have completed, and it is back-to-back championships for the Florida Panthers, this time in 6. We thought it was, or at least hoped it was going 7. It did not. The Oilers were outmatched, and Florida hoist the cup once again. So what are your guys' kind of thoughts on how the series went and Florida as champions?
I think you have to give your kudos to any team that can repeat. It takes a lot to repeat. You're coming off a long season. You're coming off of a highly emotional end to the season. Players come back with maybe a little less hunger at first because they have that relief, whether they want it for the first time. I got that monkey off my back. So great job on the part of management, part of the entire support team, and everybody convincing these guys that, hey, we can run this back. Let's not just, be happy about what we were able to accomplish. We did lose the first one. And would you rather go down as a team that was 1-2 going to the Stanley Cup 3 years in a row, or 2-1? And I think that really incentivized them to be like, we could be known as a team that lost 2 or won back to back. And right then and there, you give me that speech, I'm like, oh, hell no. We're winning. We're getting back to the Stanley Cup.
Right.
So big congrats. You know, a little more than I would have liked to see from Florida, right? Big, not necessarily a team I cheer for, big rival of the Tampa Bay Lightning. However, the Cup stays in Florida, and it seems like Florida is the new home for the Stanley Cup.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think I watched more games in the Stanley Cup than I've watched any hockey like all year.
Nice.
And they definitely were trying to grab like the casuals like me's interest with the overtime games, like overtime, blowout, overtime. You know, they're like, all right, Herb, we're gonna keep you interested. But no, I echo what you say, man. A lot of times when I'm making predictions, I'll predict against whoever won it last year just because of everything you said about how tough it is, but also that target on your back that there's guys who 5-game losing streak, but they're playing you, and all of a sudden it's the best hockey or best whatever sport they've ever played in their lives trying to knock you off. So I have a lot of respect for them getting back. And you can just kind of tell at certain times they were just making Edmonton play their game, you know, a little bit more physical, make it a little more chippy. And a couple of the blowouts, they really got Edmonton off of, you know, how the way they like to play. And then I also have an Edmonton friend, and she was just kind of frank. She was like, our defense and goaltending is just not up to par with what we need to close out a series like this. So, no, hats off to Florida. I mean, that's huge accomplishment. And I appreciate both of them making an exciting series for me to watch too. So,
and to touch on that point, I feel like for the casual fan now, you can almost make the assumption that great goaltending is just as important as having great quarterback play if you're going to make deep runs and even have a shot at winning a Super Bowl. We know the era of great defenses winning your Super Bowl is probably done.
Right.
So, and you do still have to have some firepower. I mean, Florida outscored Edmonton by a lot because they won 1-6-1. So they had those 2 blowouts, really made it look like it wasn't a full series if you look at total goals. But for them to shut down, you know, I've been telling Mikey that Drysdale and McDavid are Scotty and Mike. I mean, when you look at their playoff career, the only 2 players that have scored more points per game in their playoff career on a minimum amount is Gretzky and Mario Lemieux. So when you're in that kind of company, those guys are considered maybe top 3 of all time in the sport. And you were able to neutralize those guys to the point where McDavid had 1 goal in garbage time pretty much for the entire Stanley Cup. So mission accomplished, because I guarantee you those guys said, make everyone else beat us. Yeah. We're okay if we lose to everyone else. But if we lose to him, we didn't do our job.
Yeah. No, they had an excellent game plan. And then to that other point, if you're at a spot where you're still platooning goalies at this point, that's a terrible situation. Because what is it when they said in football, if you have 2 quarterbacks and you have none? That's
Coach Bill.
Yeah. So that to me kind of stood out. And then let's be honest, man, even in some of the games that went to overtime where we're close, like Florida blew big leads just to get there. They were just clearly the better team throughout the series. So Edmonton had to, I mean, what was it, down 3-0 to go up 4-3? Like, then give up a goal to go to over, you know, and that stuff like that is like, okay, Florida just seems a lot better, you know, throughout the series. So,
yes, thank you. Jamie can attest to this, how much I have been screaming from the mountaintops since we started this podcast. Every time Edmonton comes up in crucial situations, how much they just need to go get a legit starting goalie and stop with the rotation of 2 backups, because that's what this series came down to. Yes, defense needed to be better. Yes, they were able to at least hinder Draisaitl and McDavid in their ability to score, but it came down to goaltending. They made the comebacks and then still had to survive to even win a game.
Right.
Because they just, their goaltending has not been good. And I said this on Twitter afterwards, and it's so true. If this series, as the Edmonton Oilers, did not teach you that you need to go get another goalie that's actually like got legit championship pedigree or has been a starter long-term and things like that, then nothing ever will. And Connor should want to leave Edmonton, because at this point, like, don't waste the best player in the world.
A landing destination would be, don't you dare say the New York Rangers.
I would love for it to be the New York Rangers, obviously, but the landing spot, I mean,
you think
I
Vegas
want to say
make a splash?
Who?
Vegas?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think they can afford him. That's the problem.
Vegas can't afford it?
No, Vegas paid out a lot of money to a lot of players. They're They're probably not re-signing. Well, even though he's hurt, so
You'd be interested if the Blackhawks said, let's pair him up with the best young player in the game.
Oh
right?
my God, him and Bedard would be nasty. I mean, I want to say Toronto because they have a shit ton of talent to put around him, but it's roughly the same situation where they just don't have a goalie.
Yeah.
Stolarz might be better than Skinner. I think it's probably better than Skinner or Pickard. So you're at least getting a goalie upgrade, but it's still not the best situation. I don't know where you at Florida.
Don't say that.
Wow.
Tampa.
Yeah. We'll take
Dallas.
Now Jamie's on board. He's like, yeah, Tampa, good. Got it.
Tampa's good. I like that one. Say that one more. The Rangers. We got a pretty good goalie. I would love for him to be a Ranger. But so real quick before we get to our first little fun topic, I wanted to just see what percentage, based on what you saw of Florida the past few years and them winning this year, what percentage chance do you each give them to get back to the final? Not necessarily win, but get back to the final next year. Herb, what do you think?
Can I say so? But did you just say? And so this part I missed. I knew it was back to back, but they lost one right before that. So they've been to three.
They've been to three straight cups.
0%. I just don't know how you. I mean, 3 in a row is unheard of anyway. Even losing one, I say 0%. I'll always pick against your back to back, and then your 3 in a row. Like I was pulling against the Chiefs. I was like, there's just no way. I'm shocked they even get to the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm going 0%.
Yeah, I mean, these guys preach it all the time. Hockey's the toughest sport, and if it truly is the toughest sport, then I don't see how you can make 4 straight runs to the Stanley Cup. And if they get there, they'll be lucky to go to 5. And you know what happens as well, right? Not as bad as football, where guys earn their payday, and same thing as basketball when you make a deep run or you win or get to the finals. Right. But we know that the team's not going to be structured the same way next year, and they may possibly lose guys on the second and third line that help them get over the
depth gets taken away. Yep. And then other teams honestly game plan against you. You know, there's certain situations where like, look, I don't know how we're going to beat the rest of the league, but how do we beat them? Like,
if they thought people were sick of them, like when it was 2 in a row, now everybody's like, get them the F out of the Stanley Cup, whatever, without powers combined. Oh, you want me to trade that player too? Yes, please beat them in the playoffs.
Yeah, I can see it. So I'm going 0.
Yeah, I'll go 10%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say like 10-15%, just because like they are a good team that has found a way to continue to replace pieces. You're right, though. This might be the year they lose some pretty key pieces. Like specifically, the Conn Smythe winner's playoff MVP was Sam Bennett, which I figured they wouldn't, even though he deserves it. I figured they wouldn't give it to McDavid or Draisaitl because they did that last year.
Yeah.
And it was Sam Bennett, and he deserved it, despite what you may think of how he might, throw some dirty plays in there. He's a free agent. He just won the playoff MVP and a second straight Stanley Cup. The dude's getting paid, and I don't know if Florida is going to pay him what he can get. Right now, he may take a discount to stay in Florida if he really likes it. But I know there's a few teams, at least, that are supposed to be hot on his trail already, talking to his agent. So that'll be interesting, on top of some other, depth pieces and some very physical pieces that they might lose out on. So it is going to be tough. I think I would take the field. If you were like, oh, we'd take the Panthers to the field, I would take the field. Yeah. But I give them a slight chance, just because they're good.
Yeah. My pick was more on the situation than it was on the team itself.
Oh, 100%. 100%. It's just you're gonna expect 4 straight, especially in a sport like hockey. Like, no.
Yeah.
Like I said, had some good playoff performers like Sam Bennett. So I wanted to see what our top 5 all-time across sports playoff performers would be, gentlemen. So we're going to go 5-1. We'll each give our 5 and then our 4 and then so on and so forth. So let's let Herb go first. Herb, who's your number 5 playoff performer of all time?
Ooh, so I didn't put mine in order. I just kind of threw out some names, and I tried to grab some in different sports. With weirdly enough, I don't think I threw an NFL person in my list. So I'm gonna go with people who I don't think are gonna be on everybody's list, at least at number 5. Okay. I'm gonna give Allen Iverson some credit here for what he did with that team against the Lakers. The only game that the Lakers lost in that whole playoff run was Allen Iverson. And you go and look at the team that he was carrying up against Shaq and Kobe, and you're like, I'm not even sure how you guys made it to the finals, much less even stole a game. And come on, you look at the rest of it. There's him and Dikembe Mutombo, and that's really it. The fact that he even stole a game there, I give Iverson all the credit. So I'm going Allen Iverson at my number 5 spot.
Nice. No love for Eric Snow?
I mean, back in the day, I was like, man, Eric Snow, he's a good defender, good, steady point guard. And now you look back and go, was...
It was AI, right? Okay.
So I was trying to go for a little more obscure than just my regular guys. So that's why I went with Allen Iverson on my first.
No, that's a good pick. Jay?
My number 5 is Dennis Rodman. No matter where this guy went, he was a huge difference maker. And he wasn't the kind of guy that was your average ball player. All he wanted to do was rebound the basketball and play great defense. So talk about teams needing to plug and play a guy that's willing to be the ultimate role player and a starter at that, which has no ego whatsoever of demanding the ball. And he worked great because every team he was on, those teams had guys that could light it up at any time. All he had to do was secure one more offensive rebound, which normally got them over the edge more than people realize. I mean, the guy was averaging at some point 10 offensive rebounds a game, not 10 rebounds. So talk about just someone who understood the game on a different level. No matter what team he was on, whether it was Detroit, whether it was Chicago, whether it was San Antonio, he always made enough contributions to help his team get over the edge. And yes, we recognize it, but I still think people don't understand how important he was to all of those teams I just listed to go on their runs back to back, three-peats, winning 2 in 3 years. I mean, he was a big reason why that happened.
Yeah. You don't get guys who know their roles anymore. That's kind of it. Everybody wants to do more than what they think they should be able to do. So, no, I agree.
No, that's very true. So my number 5, I'm going to take it away from basketball for my number 5. I'm going to go with it's a personal choice, but Andy Pettitte, starting pitcher for the New York Yankees. So he does have the most playoff wins ever. He won 19 playoff games alone in his career. He was just a guy that you could turn the ball over to any series, any situation against any lineup, and he would give you a quality performance. He was a gamer. He was the thing I guess he most famous for amongst hitters is that he would have this stare down where he'd have his hat low and he'd just be staring right over his glove and then would throw the ball. And it just his pitch mix and his ability to, get guys out in crucial situations always kind of stood out to me when I was growing up and watching the Yankees, contend for championships during like that core era, which I miss very much, even though this team is very good, but I miss that team because that was my childhood. So yeah, Andy Pettitte just
a little peek in his life as we go.
Yes. So yeah, Andy Pettitte, that's always just stood out to me.
Feels like Jamie froze on. Oh, there we go. Either that or he's keeping an intense stare for a minute. So
he's really.
And one thing you'll see with my list, I tried to pick guys that I didn't think y'all would pick either.
Right.
So just to have a little fun with it. So I'm going to go with number 4, Nick Foles. Maybe one of the championship runs, got him to a Super Bowl, caught a pass in the Super Bowl as well as throwing a win, and then disappeared for the rest of his life. So if you're going to go out.
Actually, he's disappeared to Jacksonville in Punta Gorda, and he's a professional pickleball player now.
It's true.
Well, there you go. Good job, Nick. that is, if you're going to come in and replace a guy who was headed for a possible MVP candidacy, top 5 candidacy, replace him, get your team to the Super Bowl, and beat Tom Brady. Yeah, I got to give you a little
by running trick plays. Let's go.
Like I said, caught a Super Bowl. So yeah, I'm with you, Foles, man. That's I'll give you a little love on the special here.
I like them. I can definitely dig that one. That you're definitely pulling stuff out of that. My number 4
You'll find I'm that guy that's like, what did Herb just say? Like, look, man, I don't want to go with the usual, so you're gonna get the crazy ones here.
Well, this guy I gotta go with. I was gonna put him higher on my list, but he kind of sits in there out of the 3 and 4 for me. Grew up. This is the reason why I became a Niners fan. Is Joe Montana, unbeaten in the Super Bowl. Later on in his career, he lost a couple more playoffs game prior to that before leaving San Fran. He was like 16 and 4, I think, in the playoffs, which is incredible for a football player. So, I mean, the guy single-handedly made San Francisco who they are, and they built a team around him. And, pride and joy of Notre Dame. Mikey has to have some love for Joe Montana. But, I mean, he was the kind of guy, not just a great football player, a great person. People hear a lot. You hear a lot about, like, Joe just being Joe. When you see him, he'll talk to everybody like, hey, I'm just Joe. Like, don't treat me like this big time, football player, Hall of Famer. So But talk about clutching the playoffs. Man, that guy was awesome.
My number 4 is, and I do have love for Joe Montana, by the way, proud of Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm.
My number 4 is possibly the guy that took over the best quarterback of all time spot from Mr. Joe Montana, and that is the undeniable Tom Brady.
Mm-hmm.
You have that level of winning, and apparently the only division you can't beat is the NFC East in the Super Bowl. Other than that, you got everything taken care of.
Just one team.
Just one. No, two.
Yeah. That's two. Yeah.
They lost to
You're
two
right.
NFC East teams. I mean, bottom line is the AFC East can't beat the NFC East in the Super Bowl. Just ask the Buffalo Bills. Anyway,
Yep.
Unfortunately for them, you think they would have won one of them. They deserved to win one of them. Probably the one against us. Anyway, Brady's just, I mean, his performances, he never made a mistake that really lost them, any of their games. Even the Super Bowls they lost, I wouldn't put it on what Brady did.
Right.
I would put it on like the defenses and the fact that they just got smothered by good defenses. But it wasn't necessarily a thing on Brady and Brady's ability to step into any situation and help his team win. I mean, case in point is the comeback against the Falcons, right? Where he comes out in the second half and all of a sudden they're a completely different team. He's moving the ball at will, and there's nothing that the Falcons, who had a good defense that year, could do about it. So, yeah, Tom Brady was my number 4. Number 3 for you, Hurt.
So I had to go delve into baseball. And there was a lot of moments. I used to watch baseball back in the day. But one of my favorites, because I was really rooting against the Yankees, at that point, I went with Big Papi. A lot was riding on when they were down 3-0, and I guess just has been getting beat up by the Yankees for a year, and he helps, spark the comeback, gets them to a World Series, and just his overall postseason record. But that one was the one that stood out the most to me. So sorry, I feel like the death stare.
It's fine.
Yeah. It's like, why did I invite Herb on again? I don't really. I really wanted Raj, but. But yeah. Big Papi's my number 3.
No, that's a good pick. I mean, that's Papi's a good pick because he specifically in that one, and then all the World Series he won after that,
right.
He went off.
Quite ironically, I sort of went with a Red Sox, and this is one that pissed Mikey off. But
okay,
it was the year of the bloody sock. I don't need to say.
That was on my list. That was on my list.
And I really just said Kurt Schilling because when when him and my guy Randy Johnson teamed up, they brought an improbable World Series ring to the Arizona Diamondbacks, who ended up beating who they beat in the World Series, Mikey? I don't remember.
Moving on.
How they got there. Anyways, whoever they beat must have been a terrible team. But yeah, so Kurt Schilling, based on, I mean, the guy had so many antics as well. Kurt Schilling was probably to me one of the most almost like Jekyll and Hyde guys, where you would see him get into this zone and he would just look like a straight killer on the mound. You're like, if I was a hitter, I want nothing to do with that. And I mean, he just almost carried his team on his back when he had to, whether the offense was doing their thing or not. I think in that game 7, it was a really low scoring game, wasn't it? I mean, there wasn't much happening on either side.
Yeah, I can't remember the exact score, but it was not a high offensive game.
Yeah. I actually remember watching them. So yeah. That's funny because that was on my list too. When I was kind of looking at it and going, I wanted to pick a baseball.
I had to rub it in at one point. I had to find one person to piss him off. Mikey, who's your number 3?
Picks the guy that goes to 2 teams and beats my favorite team both times. Is one of the deciding factors of beating my favorite team.
Very much so.
Both times.
Yeah.
Okay, so my number 3, sticking with the kind of championship theme here, it is the great Bill Russell. I mean, come on. 11 as a player, 13 overall with 2 as a coach and executive. The man just, he knew what it took to win. And yes, there's the idea that, as long as he got by Wilt, he was going to win the title because nobody was blah, 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 blah. You still have to win. You still have to be a great player and you still have to perform when it counts. And Bill Russell could do that, and he could galvanize his entire team to do that. because he was the driving force. And we all know it. So, yeah, Mr. Bill Russell. I mean, he had more rings than he had fingers. Case in point. Number 2 for you, Hurt.
All right. Full disclosure, my list right here, I was going to go Gretzky, but I think I'm eliminating hockey from my list because it's probably the sport I've watched the least. So I'm going to go with somebody I actually watched and throw some love. I'm going to go Eli Manning, just for those 2 Super Bowl runs, stopping the Patriots, including maybe the greatest Patriots team of all time. And somebody whose Hall of Fame candidacy is probably 80-90% based on the 2 Super Bowl runs. I got to go Eli. I got to show him some love for what he did in the playoffs.
Nice. Mikey, look at that. A little redemption immediately.
Yay. And by the way, it's not 80 to 90%. It's 100% on those 2 rings.
I was just trying not to make anybody mad.
He will get in based on the fact that he won those 2 rings. And he was a 2-time Super Bowl MVP, which he definitely deserved both of them.
Yeah.
My number 2 is a little bit of an asterisk because it's not so much that it's called a playoff, but it's a sport where this is considered kind of like their playoff series. It's tennis. It's Rafael Nadal at the French Open. 112 wins and 4 losses in his career in a championship tournament, right? We're talking a major. This is not the kind of tournament where, the field isn't really going to show up this year. Maybe 3 or 4 top 20 players. Every single top player in the world is playing in that tournament every year. And the guy won it 14 times. I mean, come on. You're going to tell me, hey, guess what, guy? This right here, if you can only have French Open titles, imagine if someone said to him and then he made a deal with the devil. If you can only have French Open titles, you'll hardly lose here. Are you going to take it? He probably took that damn deal, but he still went on to win the U.S. Open a couple times. But, I mean, talk about somebody who was unstoppable on a particular surface. He is the king of clay. He will always be the king of clay to me. My boy, Rafa, number 2.
I like it.
Great pick. My number 2, I will go with Wayne Gretzky because he won, he won 4 Stanley Cups? Yeah, I think he won 4 Stanley Cups and had put up playoff points that no one will probably ever touch as far as playoff records go. He was as good in the playoffs as he was in the regular season, and he was the greatest hockey player ever. So if you're starting any sort of team in hockey that you want to win the playoffs, you want to win the Stanley Cup, if you don't start with Wayne Gretzky, you are wrong. You're just outright wrong.
Gretzky would tell you to start with Bobby Orr.
He 100% would, because Wayne Gretzky is possibly the most humble GOAT I've ever seen in my life. Yep. Next time you get the opportunity to watch like him on the pre or like intermission panel, at any point when they bring up how good he is or how good of a career he had, he looks visibly uncomfortable to talk about it. Because he's like, yeah, well, I was pretty good. Like, he's just like, I was pretty good. Bobby Orr was good. Gordie Howe was really good. Like, Gratz, you had double the points that they even dreamed of.
All right, drum roll for the number 1.
Yes,
number 1 all-time playoff performer.
I had to go with my favorite period, Michael Jordan. My favorite basketball player all time, still my GOAT. It's a guy who we were in Germany during his first run. And, I don't know if anybody watching will even realizes there was no internet. There was no, you had to actually get up and watch. And we had one station there and it would play at 3 o'clock or 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. I'd have to get up there. I had to go to sleep at like 7, get up, watch the games, and still get to school the next day during the first 3. But Mike Jordan, my favorite all time, 6-0 in the finals. Always had to give him my number 1 spot.
Yeah, I think it might be unanimous there. I want to be like Mike. Free throw line. I mean, when he said 6-0 in the finals, but people don't realize, he won 24. He played in, what was it? They came back. There was that 1-year gap. He won 1 and lost 1. I believe his record in the 90s in the playoffs was something like 25-1 in playoff series.
That's
with
crazy.
The Bulls, which makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah.
So, that alone right there is like, what else do we need to talk about right now? This guy led his team to a win every time he could possibly get them through a series. He found a way, whether it was the flu, whether he was obviously just coming back from playing baseball for a year and a half. It didn't matter. The guy had this. It's the Mike factor, right? Like he just had that it factor we never saw from anybody else. He moved different.
Yeah,
like the way he walked was different, and he revolutionized the game of basketball for us in our generation. So
agreed
all the way.
Number 1 is Michael Jeffrey Jordan, undefeated in the finals. He's the greatest basketball player of all time. It is unanimous. It's a clean sweep. How can you deny what he was to the game of basketball, to the NBA finals? I think that one series he lost, that's the Pistons in 90, isn't it?
Well, if you consider that, yes. But
he's also talking about the Orlando series. Yeah. When he, the first year he came back.
Once they started their run. Right.
Well, once they started their run. Yeah. No, he comes back just in time for the playoffs, but they end up losing to Orlando, who ends up losing to Houston. Still though, like, okay, cool. Mike joined the team super late. And pushed Penny and Jack to their near breaking point before losing.
I think everybody can. It's not even an assumption. I think everybody says, like, yes, perhaps like in the 94 year when Houston was almost as good as any team we've seen in the 90s, then maybe they would have taken them to 7 because nobody ever took the Bulls to 7 in the finals.
That's about the 7.
Most. It's about the most that we could say would have happened. We probably would have been 8 in a row.
Yeah, but even then though, that was the Knicks teams makes it, and the Bulls were the one that always shut them down. So I just feel like they would, and then they went 7 in that series. Which, by the way, one of the finals I didn't watch a single game of because I would have had to get up. So I found out about the OJ thing the next day or two, whatever, too. So because I didn't get up for a single game of that series, but
I wish I could have seen the playoffs that year because I'm being a Rangers fan. Like that's the spring of '94. Rangers are pushing for the cup. They end up winning. It's the last time they've won.
Mikey, when's your birth year?
1995.
Wow. Are you serious? Your fault?
Maybe
November of 95.
Or Valentine, but it took place a little.
No, it was November. It was supposed to be December. It was an entire. I would have been 95. It was not. Wow. I thought about that too. I was like, hold on, does the math add up? No, it doesn't. Wow. But yeah, if I was born 1 year, 2 years earlier, if it was you're sticking to the month, but I really wish I could have seen that because the Rangers haven't won since. But yeah, I don't think you can really deny when you look at Jordan and the Bulls' body of work that they would have probably won 94, 95.
That's what I think so, yeah. Kenny Smith would probably argue with you, but I disagree.
1,000%.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm a UNC fan. Jet, come on, man. Like, listen, I like you guys to take them to maybe 6 both years. Jet, come on, man. Like, nah, I love you, but no.
He was.
Hakeem, man.
No, 3 years.
Yeah. Everybody knows Hakeem credit. He was great, but I think they were just throwing enough bodies at him to make that work, and they had the advantages everywhere else. So.
Well, I think it goes to what you guys said about this year's Stanley Cup Finals is isolate Hakeem. If he's going to score and do whatever he's going to do.
Yeah.
But we're going to shut down Kenny and Clyde and all them. And
Mario.
And we, yes, that's the secret weapon.
Throw it out.
Robert Horry's the real secret weapon. Everybody knows Robert.
Everybody knows
that guy open. Yeah.
Everybody knows Robert Horry was a secret weapon because championship teams kept bringing him
by the name of Bond.
Yeah. Nobody can remember a single thing that Robert Horry did in any regular season game ever, but we all remember. I was a Kings fan, and when he hit that shot with the Lakers, that just kind of broke my heart. Yeah.
Who were you as a Lakers fan against the Kings? Who are you more mad at to this day, Robert Horry or the refs?
So, as a Kings fan at that point, I'm more mad. See, I can't even be mad at the refs because they really only influenced Game 6 to me to get it to Game 7. Mm-hmm. But my biggest memory of Game 7 is Pedro Stoyanov on the corner, airballing a 3. And I'm just like, the only person that showed up, I think, in Game 7 was Bibby. Everybody else just kind of shrunk at the moment. So, the refs did their job to get them to Game 7, but the Kings had their chances in 7, and it was just awful. Mm-hmm. So,
Name another time when Peja airballed a 3. I'll wait.
I mean, it was so, but he was wide open, and that thing. I mean, it was a huge gust of wind or something. Somebody opened the window. That was.
I'm telling you,
awful.
it was the replay official. He's like,
Yeah. I
he
mean,
opened the door.
Not so it's like if they're shooting a game winner, everybody just blow really hard right before.
yes. I still have nightmares of that shot. So yeah. I can't blame anybody else. If I want to blame anybody for the Robert Horry one, I can blame Vlade Divac for tapping him the ball in the first place. So
Wait, so were you still a Kings fan when they traded Halliburton to Indiana?
no, that was like a momentary kind of like their style of play that they were doing.
Okay,
back then,
you
back then
attached
kind of
yourself to the Kings.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So that's our list of playoff performers. Very good list. I'm glad that we all were in agreement on who the best one was because you can't deny it.
Yeah, and if anybody out there has a different number one, please go ahead and comment and let us know.
No, let us know your reasoning. Seriously, I would love to hear why you think, especially if it's someone that wasn't on any of our lists, because we're not perfect. There might be somebody.
The old school heads are going to be like Magic or Kareem, like you guys.
Magic, Bird. every old head in Boston's like Bird. He put Russell on the list, but Bird. So moving from those stars, because I would say all those guys are big stars in their sports, to current stars that may be on the block. So we've had some interesting trades across many different sports. In fact, I don't know if you guys have seen this, but the NHL teams are already starting to make trades, and so are NBA teams. The Pacers literally made a trade for draft rights and stuff during the finals. They haven't even finished the finals as of this recording, and they have made a trade for the upcoming NBA draft. So everybody's in trade fever. Rafael Devers is a San Francisco Giant out of nowhere. Hockey's making trades. NBA's making trades. The NFL, while they usually
Orlando's just shitting away first round picks as if
apparently Orlando really likes Desmond Bane.
I hope. I mean, okay, that one. Yeah,
really likes Desmond.
He fits the bill, right?
He does.
The
bid is great.
Shooting guard who can hit a lot of open threes.
Yes.
You didn't need to throw. I guarantee you they would have taken 2 first round picks. I guarantee they would have said yes. To 2 first round
if you told me that Luka would get less, dramatically less than Desmond Bane in the trade, I would have just told you don't know sports and have no idea what you're talking about. But I saw that trade and I was like, 4 and a pick swap and players?
And 2 veteran players at that, not even like guys who are
solid, like in rotation veteran players.
Yes.
You know who else could fit the bill like Desmond Bane does for Orlando? Anybody you possibly could pick with 5 first-round picks.
Yes. You would think you'd really be going.
Dallas would take those 4 first rounders, maybe.
I would say so. Yeah. But thinking on all of these guys that fit the bills with their new teams and guys getting moving forward into the summer, gentlemen, what is one across any of the sports, any of the 4 major sports we talked about? What is one trade that you think needs to happen? It can be specific or not specific, who move, or if you have an idea of where they should move, where you think they should go, please bring it up.
So I'll kick it off here. I'm going to go with Travis Etienne. It's about time he dodges out of Jacksonville. We know that the Trevor Lawrence thing is probably not going to work out the way they hope for it to work out. Prior to last season, he had 2 back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. I do believe that he was a little bit hampered at the beginning of the year. Plus, they really gave the ball to Tank Bigsby or not. Why not? They figure that's their future, and he kind of proved that he is their guy now. So he doesn't need to be shared in the backfield. He needs to be a star. I feel the right place for him to land is in Denver. We all know J.K. Dobbins will get injured in preseason. It's a guarantee. Therefore, they have no starting running back. So if somebody were to make a move, Denver now has who they think is their guy of the future because Bo had a great season last year. If you add him into the mix, I think that helps Bo out just like it helped Trevor out early in his career to have somebody he could just hand it off to when he felt a little uncomfortable with what he was seeing from the other side of defense. So I think Travis doesn't need to be in Jacksonville anymore. I think Denver's the landing spot for him. Whether it happens or not, we'll see. But I don't want to see Travis just kind of rot away when I still think he has a lot left in the tank and a lot to contribute to an up-and-coming team like Denver, who can make things exciting next year and see whether they can challenge or somebody can challenge Kansas City for the AFC West. We'll see.
I like it.
I do like that pick. Plus, they did the one guy they do have, they drafted RJ Harvey out of UCF, who's I think a very underrated running back. I think he'll be good, but yeah, I could see them pairing him with ETN because Harvey's more of the traditional running back, where ETN can be that kind of versatile Swiss Army knife type running back, and that's, I think, a good combination for them. Herb, what do you got?
So I went with an obvious one, with NBA for a guy who's definitely going to get traded, Kevin Durant. I know what his destiny, and I had to look it up real quick because I've already forgotten the Heat, the Spurs, or the Rockets. I don't like any of those. So for Durant,
you don't like the Spurs for him?
Not at this stage of his career. I think they're probably still a couple years away. Okay. And does he have 2 good years? I think at this point he needs to go somewhere where he can win next year, or the year after. No, I think the Spurs, but I think they have enough young talent there to where I don't really want to add a guy like Durant. I think that team can grow together. If everybody can get healthy for one good year, I think they can grow together without him. So I picked 2 spots. The Golden State Warriors, even though he already said no. But if I could get one last ride with Draymond, with Butler, with Steph, and I get Durant there where he was at his best, I go for it. Whatever. Yeah, you have no bench, and you better hope you survive the regular season. But nobody will want to play that team in a playoff.
Yep.
Absolutely. So, and then the second one, kind of like, I don't know how far they'll get, but I would love to see him with the Timberwolves, just playing off Ant Edwards and finally give him, I know Randall did well at times and then disappear. He still play off Randall sometimes and just totally disappears. I'd like to give him a second guy that he can absolutely count on in any situation and can get you buckets when he's on the bench. So those are my top 2 for Durant. I don't think I really like the other ones as much as that. So that's where I put him.
I think of the 3 of them, probably of the 3 of his top choices, probably Houston makes the most sense in the sense of, like,
if he's trying to win sooner.
If he's trying to win sooner, which he should be, because we don't know,
Right.
And it's not that he's not talented. It's the Achilles. Let's be frank. Like, it's the Achilles in his knees. Like, you just don't know how much longer he has left. And it sucks because he should have a lot longer left. He should be on the same path as LeBron, but just the injuries have taken him out.
Mike and I did a little mathematical assessment of if the Achilles had never happened and he had stayed in Golden State for a couple more years,
it's over.
He would easily be second on the scoring list probably by the end of this season. Yeah. And the second player to get to 40,000 points.
Yeah. He's easily going to be, one of the most versatile and best scorers that we've probably ever seen. Yeah. I think it's off-court stuff and the burner stuff and his sensitivity that kind of diminishes his legacy, and then the bouncing around in the lost years in Brooklyn. But other than that, a guy just on the court that get you a bucket from anywhere at that size, Durant is going to be one of the best. So.
My trade, I also did the NBA, and also the guy that possibly might be the second most likely at this point to get traded behind Durant, and that's Giannis. I think
that's an interesting one.
Because I think it's ran its course in Milwaukee. They are trending downward. He's only getting older, and he's way too talented. The Dame experiment did not work. I think we can safely say now the Dame experiment.
Yeah. I was a Dame fan, by the way. And
I love Dame.
I'm so mad.
I love Dame. It just did, for some reason it just never clicked.
They got old. They got older. Like the team was already got older. It just. I would have loved it to fit. I would have loved to see them at least contend to get to the finals to see if they could have played an NBA finals together. But you realize pretty much halfway through his first season there, it probably wasn't going to work.
Yeah. Well, and then I think getting rid of Drew Holiday was a bigger loss than they expected it to be.
Well, look what happened. Drew went ahead and took Boston. I mean, it wasn't Drew. I mean, now you have a big 4.
He contributed. He contributed. Yeah.
Well, he's a guy that just kind of fits in.
Tingus is healthy, and all of a sudden you got a big 4. So
Tingus. But I'm going to send Giannis to the San Antonio Spurs.
Oh my goodness!
I think he's
so no one's allowed to shoot in the paint ever. Is that what we're doing now?
Correct.
Guys, just wave your hands to the whole game.
Yes, I mean,
like I think he's the guy that you sacrifice the depth for. The young depth. I agree with you. I think if you give them time, this team can grow together like OKC has and be a championship team.
Right.
But it's not every day you get offered up a player like Giannis that can make you a title contender right now.
Yeah. Like, it accelerates the growth for sure.
Absolutely, like especially now that they comfortably made the De'Aaron Fox trade and did not have to sacrifice nearly what you would expect the Spurs would have had to get a player like De'Aaron Fox. You can now spend that capital, whether it be in young players or draft capital, on a player like Giannis, and suddenly you have your franchise point guard, you have your franchise superstar, and you take someone else's franchise superstar.
Mm-hmm.
It's an embarrassment of riches at that point. The only thing is if you can manage to make that trade without sacrificing too much of the young depth that you are now in the situation of, gold, like you said, Golden State with KD, where it's like, you better hope this starting lineup makes the season,
Right.
because if it doesn't, and you lose even one of them, you're going to have a tough time winning in the playoffs.
All three of those players are injury prone. We knew that Wemby was going to be a problem until he bulks up. So,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Mhm.
So but at this point, and it's the Spurs though. Like, I trust the Spurs, or if any franchise in the entire league is going to be able to keep them healthy on the court and use them perfectly, it's the Spurs.
Mhm.
Plus, let's get Pop some more titles. I mean, come on. Like,
Does he get credit? I mean, he's gone now.
he'll be
Does he still
the
get
president of basketball operations, so he has.
I'm on board with that though. I love Pop though, and
Pop's
lately
Pop.
Pop's
more
an easy guy
stories.
to cheer for.
He is, yeah. More stories have been coming out lately just about his off the court stuff that he doesn't publicize. It just
Right.
makes you love him more. So I'm with it.
Listening to, specifically for me recently, it was listening to Becky Hammond's Hall of Fame speech and just seeing what he, like, visibly what he meant to her
Yeah.
as far as her career and getting her where she is today and giving her the ball that she could then run with. But yeah, I think Giannis on the Spurs would be an interesting thing to see,
I agree with that.
to say the least. Now, before we get to our next segment, I'm going to jump in here because, guys, I've got something on my mind that I need the world to know about.
Take it away, Mike.
Specifically in the world of baseball. Everybody knows, obviously, that I'm a Yankees fan. Everybody knows that I'm a Yankees fan. And I think everybody needs to pay attention to what is happening with the New York Yankees this year, specifically with Aaron Judge, who is already being talked about as one of the best, if not the best, right-handed hitter of all time. I won't say that he's that yet. I think there's a lot of really good hitters, but the dude's on a historic pace this season. So as it currently stands, at time of recording, I believe he's played 72 games. If he plays, I guess you could say conservative in the sense that he's not going to play all the games. Let's say he plays 150, right? Because they're going to rest him, obviously, for the playoffs if they're able to make it and things like that. If he plays 150 games this year, his stats are going to be as followed based on his current pace. 54 home runs, 125 RBI, 135 runs scored, 208 hits, 35 doubles, 414 total bases. For context, that would be more hits, runs scored, and total bases than he got in either of his MVP seasons or his Rookie of the Year season. It also would give him, most likely, based on those numbers, a second straight MVP award in the AL, which would make him the first to go back-to-back in either league since Miguel Cabrera in 2012 and 2013. It's also his third MVP total. The third MVP would put him in a tie with Yogi Berra, Roy Campanella, Joe DiMaggio, Jimmy Fox, Mickey Mantle, Stan Musial, Shohei Ohtani, Albert Pujols, Alex Rodriguez, Mike Schmidt, and Mike Trout for the second most MVPs in Major League history.
Winning cures all too as well. So they're definitely on as well. Yep, on his way to another MVP.
Oh yeah,
I thought if Ohtani came out strong pitching and could match him like partly with batting and then came on strong pitching, I would think that'd be the only person I think kind of off the top of my head that could catch him. But no, Judge is having a magnificent season. I'm gonna have to go ahead.
It's weird, like people aren't. It's almost like people are hesitant to say he's the best player in baseball, and I don't understand why.
Because
there's a lot of Yankees hate though, so they're a polarizing team. It's like, Dak Prescott had an amazing season. You'd be like, but he's for the Cowboys. Do we really like him? Half the league is gonna hate.
But Judge is a likable guy. You know what I mean? It's not like
true.
It's not like he has that chip on his shoulder and he's an asshole, and he's a pretty humble guy.
Yeah.
It's I think a part of it really is the pinstripes. I think
Yeah.
it's tough for some people too. And I'm not saying that because I'm a Yankee fan and like, oh, you guys, you all hate us. Like I understand, like they're a very it is a very polarizing team. So when you play for them, you have to everything you do is taken with a grain of salt. And it's the fact that Ohtani can pitch, is what kind of keeps putting Ohtani over Judge. But I think Judge is a better hitter than Ohtani is.
Yeah.
But it's impressive what Ohtani can do pitching wise. Yeah. Like the fact that he pitched an inning in his season debut, the first time in 20 months he's pitched in a game, and he was hitting like 99 to start off. Like he's incredible. There is no denying that Ohtani, and one of the best things that could have happened to Aaron Judge winning multiple AL MVPs is that he signed in the National League.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Aaron J's just been so good, and I just hope the rest of the team can keep pace so we can win something this year, please.
Yeah, and I think that's what ultimately. I mean, it won't do for your regular season MVP, but they got to win in the postseason.
Yeah.
Yes, and he needs to play better in the postseason. He's been hit or miss in the pun not intended. In the
I was with it. Yeah, that was a good one.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Well, yeah, then pun definitely intended. I definitely meant to do that. Yeah, I would like a World Series. I would love to see Aaron Judge win an MVP again. I would like even more for the Yankees to win the World Series, please.
Let me ask this then. If let's say he does do back-to-back, he wins the MVP.
Yeah.
And then they bow out, let's say before the World Series. Does that diminish those seasons in your mind?
Yes. Yeah, because it was like, all right, great. Judge won another MVP, but here we are playing golf again.
Yeah.
Not because there's a precedent that has been set in history over the Yankees, and like it's also New York market and the media in New York and things like that. It's like it's either championship or your season didn't matter at all, no matter how well you did.
Right.
And it's either perform in the play, especially in baseball. It's either perform in the playoffs or it doesn't matter. We don't care what you did in the regular season. It's all well, like we'll give you eventually once the sting of losing whenever they lose wears off. Like, yeah, okay. Reflecting on it, Judge had a historic year. Like he was fantastic and he was the best player in baseball. But there's always the but if you lose. Yeah. There's always the but. But the Yankees are having a good year so far, and I'm very happy with them as a fan. There are some teams, gentlemen, that are not having good years in Major League Baseball. Some are surprising, some aren't. So which team do you think right now, going into the All-Star break, we're about 2.5, 3 weeks away from the All-Star break, should hit the panic button? It's time to hit the panic button and, realize that this isn't trending well. Herb, what do you think?
And keep in mind, this is a not huge baseball watcher, but I went with the Braves just because I read a lot of stuff before the season and the different tiers. And I think it was CBS Sports even broke it down. It was like Dodgers in that top tier and Braves was in that second one. And then being 12 games out of your division at this point, with those kind of expectations, plus also being in Alabama. That's our closest. So there's a lot of Bama fans that are Braves fans. So it's filling up my Twitter timeline constantly to where that's the team I feel kind of more personal towards. And, something's got to turn around quickly. So if I'm the Braves, like you got to make a move soon to kind of get yourself back into contention. So I'm going with the Braves.
I think the Nationals have hit that point right now. They're 0-10 in their last 10 games. Things are going dreadfully wrong. It's a team that was 3 games under 500, and now they're 13 games under 500, just like that. We know the roster is getting a little bit older as well. You figure that maybe it's time for them to make moves and stock up on some draft capital or do whatever it takes to start the rebuild right now. I don't think they have a shot at contending with this team anymore either. So if I was them, I would start to think about who I'm dealing and who I'm stealing and what I'm trying to do to get myself back into contention. Because look, the Mets seem to be, they're probably going to stick around for a while. They have an owner willing to play ball like Steinbeck. You're going to put that money on the table. The Braves are a good team, despite them being up and down this year. The Braves are going to find themselves in it for a lot. I would say maybe the next 3 or 4 years, but they keep their roster together. And then the Phillies are the Phillies. The Phillies are always the question mark. There's so much talent on that roster. The Phillies continue to prove that, like, hey, don't count us out. We can probably beat anybody in the NL. Maybe not the Mets, but maybe anybody else in the series. So, they kind of stuck right there, right? It's kind of like certain teams in football where the division is so good. It's like no matter how much you improve, like like the Broncos, it's like, well, are you going to contend with the Chargers and the Chiefs because they're perennially the better teams all the time? So if I'm Washington, I'm definitely hitting that panic button.
Yeah, it's interesting that we picked the two teams in the same division too. So that definitely tells you a lot already.
Yep.
Oh yeah, you want both watching the Phillies and Mets slowly but surely pull away when both, especially the Braves, but the Nationals were, I think, definitely expecting a young talent influx to really boost them this year and at least get into a wild card spot.
Mm-hmm.
My team is a team that arguably was considered to win the division this year in the AL East, and that is the Baltimore Orioles. They have been getting, last few seasons, been getting
not
better.
first, last.
First, last. And they legitimately are last in the AL East, which is incredible considering every year, the last like 4 or 5 years, they've gotten better and better. And we've seen all this young talent that they've collected all coming up. They almost were starting to look like the MLB version of the Thunder.
And was it like the sweetheart pick to almost make the series last year? Wasn't everybody?
They won. I kept saying last year, I was like, if there's any team in the American League that I am afraid of, afraid to play, to try to get to the World Series as a Yankees fan, it was the Orioles. They were firing on all cylinders. They had gone and gotten pitching. They had a young lineup that was great. They had Adley Rutschman, Ryan Mountcastle, Jackson Holliday, Gunnar Henderson, who was a contender for AL MVP last year. Like they're on paper a fantastic team, except they forgot they needed pitching. Corbin Burns left for Arizona, and unfortunately now I think he's out for the year because of potentially needing Tommy John surgery. I think they're looking for second opinions, but hope that's not the case, Corbin, and that you can come back and it's not as bad as we think it is. But that was the kind of linchpin for their rotation was Corbin Burns. I mean, he's a former Cy Young winner, like great pitcher. They went and got him specifically to be their ace, and then they didn't keep him. And it's almost seemed like between the offseason and how their season has progressed this year so far, that they didn't have a plan past Burns. Their assumption was they're going to re-sign Corbin Burns and everything is going to be fine. And like the rest of the pitchers will be able to fall in line behind that. And so when Burns left, they had no backup plan. They had no prospects for getting any of the other pitchers. And so then they were like, okay, we'll try to make it through with what we've got until maybe the trade deadline, and we'll go see what aces are available. And maybe we'll trade for one or two of them with like the abundance of prospects that we have collected over the years when we were really bad. Except they're so bad now that move might not make sense at the trade deadline because they might be so far out of it that what you're going to spend prospects to go get a pitcher that you might not keep again to not even make the playoffs, because even this guy's 16 to 20 wins this year won't help you. So it's just, I don't know what the Orioles do. They're about to be sellers at the trade deadline, most likely. They're about to sell off probably some of their veterans that they can afford to get rid of, kind of reset and see what they can do next year, because they've just been so bad. And the East ahead of them has been so good in the sense of like, it's a way uphill battle to even make it into a playoff spot, let alone win the division. So yeah, that's my pick, is the Baltimore Orioles. Sorry for my family that lives in Maryland that are big Orioles fans.
I'm a big Happy Birds guy. I used to wear the Happy Bird cap all the time.
It's a great cap. I love their color scheme. Yeah. I love their hats. Like I don't dislike, just because they're in our division and they've given us some problems over the years. Yeah. Like I don't dislike the Orioles. I do like the Orioles, which is why it would be nice to see them be good again, because it's been a while.
Fly, Pelican, fly.
Fly, Pelican, fly. So those are, our teams that need to hit a panic button. Let us know in the comments what you think, which team you think needs to hit the panic button. But gentlemen, I want to play a little game before we get to our more famous Cinco Squad game. I think it's time for Mike's game time.
Oh, Lord.
And unlike previous game times, this one's a team activity, children.
Okay.
Oh,
Class, you get to work together this time.
I don't play well with others. That's my brother.
It's about time you learn how to be a good team player. Let's go.
Time to facilitate a little bit. So working together, guys, you're going to have 5 minutes.
Okay. Wow.
5 minutes for this.
We got this.
Reverse order, going backwards. Name as many number 1 overall NBA draft picks as you can.
Oh my gosh.
Going backwards. Starting last year and then working your way back.
My goodness.
Are you ready?
No, it has to be in order, or we could pull them out randomly.
No, I want it in order.
Oh God.
I'll give you I'll feed you the year. Just to keep you on track.
We need down to 3 minutes because we might get stuck for like 1 minute. Just
yes. Yeah. Oh,
all right. You want 3 minutes? All right, we'll do 3 minutes.
Yeah.
All right. Ready?
Yes.
All right. Starting with 2024. Go.
I'm thinking Wemby. Well, Wemby was the year before. So
no, Wemby was 2020 because this is 20. Yeah. So Rashier or whatever. Rashier.
Yeah, I can't get the guy's name. Renier.
Rashier.
I'll give it to you. Zachary Risache.
Zachary Risache. Thank you. Yep.
2023.
Wemby.
2022.
Was that Ant-Man?
No, Ant-Man was 2 years. Was 2021, I think. Was Ant-Man or 2020? Because it was 4th year, so he was 2020.
Then Banchero?
Banchero would be 2021.
No, Banchero is 2022.
Okay.
2021.
Ant-Man?
Nope.
Ant-Man's 2020.
Oh, 2020. I'm sorry. Oh, shoot. Then I'm missing a whole year.
Yeah. 21 was.
I can give you you can call out the team if you'd like.
Call out the team.
Pistons.
Oh,
Ivy? I know I'm Cunningham.
Yeah, Cunningham.
Cade Cunningham. 2020.
I'm thinking Oklahoma State. I'm not getting his name.
Ant-Man.
Yep.
Since I've guessed him for every year. Bound to be right, baby.
2019.
Oh, shoot.
Zion?
Yep. 2018.
Oh, wow. I forgot. It seemed like he's been around a lot longer at this point.
2018, before Zion was. Team.
Phoenix Suns.
Booker?
No, Booker was not number 1 pick. Who the hell did the Suns take?
Oh, big dude, right? God, dog. He's on Portland now.
DeAndre Ayton.
Yep. Yeah. 2017.
What was before Ayton?
God,
team.
Really
76ers.
Not Ben Simmons. No.
Not Embiid, right? He's been around longer, right?
Markelle Fultz.
Yep. Markelle Fultz. 2016.
Yeah. Oh, wow. I forgot about Fultz.
16 would be. Hold on. I knew 16. Team.
76ers.
Ben.
Yep. 15.
That is crazy.
I know, right? It was really bad in 2014, 2015. Team.
T-Wolves.
Julius Randle didn't go 1. Damn it, it's not coming to my mind. Shit. I know who it is, and it's not coming to mind now. All right, skip.
14. Cavs.
Kyrie.
Nope.
Bennett. Anthony Bennett.
Yeah, that's what I would have gone with.
Okay.
3 minutes are up. So the one you got stuck on 2015, Karl Anthony Towns.
Oh, Cat, of course.
Wow,
my guy.
Yeah.
And 2014 for the Cleveland Cavaliers, Andrew Wiggins.
Oh, Wiggins. That's right.
Oh, these are people that I don't even think of as being number 1.
Yeah.
Like Fultz would have never.
All right, so we made it. 10 years. We made it.
You made it 10 years, which is considering who some of them are, that's actually really good because there's a lot of should not have been first overall picks.
Well, I don't do the NBA like I used to either, so it's a lot harder at this point for me than it was. But
my brain doesn't work like Mikey's either, where I like catalog years and
right.
players. So,
but you look at some of those picks.
The type of Earth they got a little ass whooping and stuff.
I think you know what I think it is.
Let's go.
It's time to play our latest round of
Stump
the
Squad.
Squad.
All right, boys and girls, boys and girls.
Internet connection is going out. I gotta go, guys.
All right, good single squad people. You know what time it is. Our favorite time of the show. Thank you guys for playing along with us and being on the show with us up to this point here. Remember to like and subscribe and comment with us, especially if you beat us this week. It's Stump the Squad. It's time to slow Mikey down. Herb, when he said you're coming on, I'm like, finally, somebody to slow Mikey down because I have not been able to do it. So we're going to let our guest here lead us off and Stump the Squad this week.
All right. I don't know how good this question is going to be, but we're just going to see. All right. USC leads with Heisman's at 8. There is a glut of teams in second place.
Okay.
How many teams are in second place?
Wow.
Bonus points if you can name them.
Oh,
So your choices are 2, 3, 4, or 5.
so
4.
basically there's 4 teams with 6 or 7 Heismans, and I think it would be 4 teams with 6 Heisman winners.
Yeah, I'll go 4 also.
Yeah, I'll go 4.
No, there is 3 teams with 7. There is no 6, no 5. You got to drop down to Alabama
Wow.
with 4 after that.
I would think Ohio State would have to be one.
Ohio State is 1.
Miami.
Nope.
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame is 2.
Wow.
Yeah, your tiebreaker would be who's the last one.
Yeah, let's save that then, just in case.
That sounds good to me.
Even though he and I start with -2. Herb, who do you want to go next?
We'll go with Jamie.
All right.
All right. All right, guys. So nobody wants to be on the losing end of a championship, far less twice in a row. So I started thinking about other sports where teams have lost not just twice in a row, but 3 championships in a row. Can you tell me which one of these NBA teams lost 3 finals in a row? The Lakers, the Nets, the Celtics, the Knicks. Lakers, Nets, Celtics, Knicks. Which one of those franchises lost 3 NBA championships in a row?
I mean,
Nets.
You went with who?
Nets.
See, I'm down to like Lakers and Celtics. I don't even know if the Nets and whoever else you said even made it to the Knicks even made it to 3. So I'm gonna go Lakers.
Gentlemen, this week I have successfully stumped the squad. The answer is the Knicks in 1950.
Oh my goodness.
From 1951 to 1953, they lost 3 in a row. 51, 52, and 53. The Nets lost 2 in a row. The Lakers lost 4 out of 6, I think, to Boston, or 5 out of 6. Jerry West was like 1 and 5 or something against them.
Yeah. That's where I was
They had
going.
1 in the middle, so they didn't win. They didn't lose 3 in a row.
Yeah. I guess when I grew up watching basketball, the Knicks could never even make it. So it's like
Right.
I didn't even think about that one. So
I was thinking the Nets because I was like, oh, did Dr. J make like 3 straight? But he lost to,
No, it was
he lost
a kid.
to like the
It was a kid and
Lakers.
Vince Carter. Yeah, Jason Kidd and Vince Carter and Kerry Kittles, they went to 2 in a row, and they lost
went to
to
2
the
in a row.
Lakers and the Spurs, I think.
Yeah.
Right.
Lakers
Right.
and the second Spurs.
Yeah. Yeah, it was the Lakers end of their 3-peat, and the Spurs went in, and then Detroit won, and then the Spurs won again.
Right. So, scores update going into my question. I'm at -4. Jamie is at -2. Herb is at -2. I need to stump you guys to stay in the game. I do have a tiebreaker if you guys happen to tie.
That's
All
good.
right. We can't all be that bad, right?
It's happened before. So, talked about the great Aaron Judge winning MVP. Which of the following years did Barry Bonds not win NL MVP?
Oh, God.
1990, 1991, 1992, or 1993?
He did not win in 1991.
I'm going to go 92 just to be different. And I'm mad at myself because when I was looking at playoff performers, Bond's name was on there. And I was like, all I could do is read this paragraph. And I probably get this question right. And I skipped it totally. So.
This week, we do have a winner.
Oh gosh.
The gentleman that got the correct answer and wins episode 166 of Stump the Squad. He finally managed to slow me down.
Oh my gosh.
It is Grandpa Jay. Barry Bonds did not win the NL MVP in 1991, but he won.
I actually know random Barry Bonds facts because I was kind of not on the hating side of his career and started looking into it, and I was like, there's no way this guy should not be considered one of the greatest ball players of all time.
Well, so the tiebreaker was going to be, how many did he win? Because that you could price his right to that. You guys, real quick, do you guys know how many he won?
I do not.
You're saying 5? No.
He's either saying 5 or 4 and just kind of splitting the difference.
5. I thought you won 5. How many was it?
Nope.
How many?
4.
Take a wild guess.
4.
Jamie would have won. He won 7.
Ooh.
So he won 3 with the Giants?
He won. Yeah, I think he won 3 with the Giants, 4 with the Giants, 3 with the Pirates. Yeah. So think about that based on what I said for the Judge thing. Judge's third would tie him for second all time. So it's Bonds at 7, and then all those guys with 3.
That's nuts.
Yeah, that is crazy.
All right, who's the team we missed out on? The third. Oklahoma.
That makes sense, especially when you think of Jason White winning for some reason.
Yes.
In 2002.
Yeah. Something weird.
Yes.
And then being awful, coming back and being awful the next year. That was our episode 166 edition of Stump the Squad. Congrats to Grandpa Jay.
Baby. Let's go.
He now has 4 wins. The leaderboard reads myself with 7, Grandpa Jay with 4, John and Trey Day with 2. We thank you everybody for joining us. We've got a lot of cool things coming up. John and Trey still off. Trey, I believe, is still doing his tryout.
Left the West Coast. He's now road tripping back to the East Coast. He's done with the West Coast lifestyle. He said he had his time out in LA, but his true home is on the East. So
yes,
the sports dream might be over for now, but there's always next season.
And John is continuing to help his teams out now that the Florida Panthers have officially won the Stanley Cup. I believe he is looking into he's up near Canada, so he's looking at all the juniors players to see who the Detroit Red Wings can bring in to help them win a Stanley Cup. But he will be back soon. In fact, I think we've got a little special thing coming up next week, don't we, Grandpa Jay?
Yes, we do. It's draft time, everybody, and it's the NBA draft, and we all know who's going to be number 1, but who the hell is going to have the Cooper flag? We don't know, but we know that Dallas is about to land themselves a generational star, and we'll see who else possibly gets the steal that they hopefully think is their steal in the draft in next week's 2025 NBA draft.
I want Dallas to trade the pick, by the way. I hope Dallas trades away the pick.
They would be,
because if you're going to go full, I know, but if you're going to go full villain mode, go for it. Like, lead all the way.
Imagine they tell Milwaukee, like, hey, give us all those first round picks and we'll give you a flag. Go ahead. You replace this Giannis.
Yep.
But if you want to see who if Dallas is an idiot and trades the pick, or if they just pick Cooper Flag, like we all know they're going to, and who else might get picked and who picks them, because it is a kind of a wild west of picks after that pick. Another draft.
Rumors that Rutgers might go 2-3. So
there is rumors that I think Rutgers might go 2-3, but you can find out by joining us on our NBA draft live show. We are going to be live for that first round of the draft. It's going to be an exciting time. Every year we go live for the NBA draft, and we always have a good time together. See all the wild picks. You get to see our live reactions and get to react live with us in the chat. Be on if you'd like. Pop in. It's going to be an exciting time. So, check us out June 25th. That is actually next Wednesday which is weird that they're doing the first round on a Wednesday this year, but I digress. But join us live on Cinco Squad. You can find us on all of our socials at Cinco Squad Pod 05. That is where you can also find that live show and all of our shows, all our episodes, all our live shows, our clips, all that. Interact with us. Please share your opinions with us because, like we always say, we do talk back. And I would like to thank Herb for coming on this week. Again, one half of Herb and Rod. Roll Tide Roll. Go follow them. Herb, give us a shout out what you guys got coming up for your episodes and all your content.
So we are, by the time you see this, Saturday night show, 7:30. We always encourage people to grab a drink, pull up with us. Do we even know what we're going to talk about yet? No, it's always unplanned, unscripted, just a little bit. They call us Unhinged, so that's the name of the show. And then next Tuesday, we actually have an Oklahoma show. And Jamie joined us recently for Kentucky breakdown. We said, Mike, you've been on last year to talk about some Notre Dame stuff. Oklahoma's the next team up. So we've got a guy from Locked On Sooners coming to talk to us and break down Oklahoma. Probably tease us a little bit about losing to them last year, but, hopefully we get revenge this year. But that's what's coming up next. And, man, I have to say this, your live shows, but you guys have always been interactive. So I always love getting to see you guys. But your live shows are always the best. And I don't even care sometimes about the draft that I'm watching, but I'm sitting there watching it because you guys are covering it. So that's going to be a great show, man. I'm looking forward to that next week as well.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Saturday night, 7 p.m. That's the time you said? 7 p.m.
Yeah, Saturday night at 7:30 Central.
7:30.
7:30 Central.
Then, sorry,
everybody
I probably missed that part.
Everybody tune in 7:30 Central to their Saturday show. Tune in to all their stuff. They're great.
Appreciate you guys, man.
Yeah, of course. We appreciate you. We appreciate everybody out there, this community that we are cultivating. It's great to hear from you guys all the time. Thank you for checking out episode 166. We'll be back for the live show next week. And stay tuned.
Mikey, who's your daddy this week, boy? Get that W, boy. You got on me, Mikey. We out.